Hello. In our Alma 704 class today, we're going to look at aspects of configuring various options related to user management. For example, fines and fees, user groups, and more. I'm going to switch through to Alma, and I'm going to go to the configuration menu under user management configuration. And I'm going to start by looking at the table for defining reasons for waiving fines or fees. So here we can see that we have a certain list, and I have the option of adding a particular waive reason. I'm going to put in vacation, and I'll just say on vacation. I'm not sure if any library would actually be willing to waive a fine because somebody's on vacation. I can define whether this is going to be the default value or not, and I'm going to click on Add Row. And we can see immediately it has been added to the bottom of the list. I have the option of changing the display order, moving it up the list if I want to, and if I want to define something as a default value, I can just do so by clicking on this radio button option here. Note that we can also define whether the waive reason is enabled or not. So in some cases I might want to allow certain fine waives during vacation that I would not allow during term time. And once I have finished updating the table, I can click Save in order to save my changes. I'm going to back out of this. I'm not prepared to waive a fine because somebody was on vacation. So I'm not going to save those changes. Let's move to the fines and fees behavior table. And here we have a list of the fines and fees that can be defined and used in the library. And we have a number of columns. Can this particular fine or fee be waived? Can it be created manually? Can it be refunded? And which is the fine or fee owner? Is it on the level of the library or is it on the level of the institution? So we can see, for example, for manual creation, the only options that cannot be created manually are for a notification fee and for an overdue fine. Let us say, for example, if we look at the refundable column, the lost item process, I might not want to refund this even though the item might be found. I might say that we have overheads and we still need to charge for the processing, so I can just click on the Customize button in order to customize that option and then say, for example, that it is false. And we can make the same options, the same customize options for the waivable examples as well. And then if I want to save that particular change that I made, I can click on the Save button in order to change that. Now, if I want to go back to my fines and fees for a minute, I'd just like to point out that if I make a change to the standard table and I want to go back to the default settings, all I need to do is to click on the Restore button. I'm going to back out of this, and let's have a look at the user group table. It is a table that has a very similar structure to the waive fines table. We can see here my different user categories, and I can define a new category if I wish to by putting in a code, putting in a description. I can define whether it is the default value or not, and in a very easy manner I can just add this new category to my table. If I back out of that, I'd just like to show you one other table where we can define the mandatory fields that have to be defined in a patron record. In our institution, we only defined the first name and the last name, but I can choose any of these other parameters that are part of the patron record, and I can add it and say that this has to be a mandatory field. It has to be filled in my patron record. This concludes our brief overview of user configuration in Alma.